making lemonade, and welcome to YouTube. If you are new here and you haven't been with me on Facebook, I invite you to go check out Making Lemonade on Facebook because I've been on there for about 2 years now, and I am now just venturing onto this YouTube land that you guys have going on over here. So, I posted one video a couple weeks ago, just to get this channel started a little bit. It was a video about what I wasn't in high school, which was a very accurate, truthful video about exactly that, about how inadequate I felt in high school. We all go through in adolescence, we all go through feelings of not feeling good enough or feelings of not fitting in. And so that video just kind of highlighted that I was like 99% of people out there. I did not fit in anywhere. I wasn't a jock. I didn't fit into any crowds, but I survived it, and I went on to create a life for myself, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. And even though I wasn't all that in high school, I turned out perfectly fine, and I couldn't be happier in my life. So now I thought I would just sit on here and talk to you guys about who I am and how I came to be who I am today, and why exactly I'm doing making lemonade. So, for those of you who are new, welcome. And those of you who have been following me on Facebook, just sit back and relax, have a cup of tea, and listen to me explain my story once again. So, when I was born, we'll start way back. I won't tell you how long ago, but we will start there. When I was born, a complication happened at birth called a prolapsed cord. And it basically means that the umbilical cord, instead of coming straight out with like your legs and stuff like it's supposed to, it came up, it had floated somehow up near my head area, and so it was kinked. The cord was kinked. And just a little bit of a biology lesson here in case you didn't know, is the umbilical cord is what feeds oxygen and nutrients and stuff to the baby. So because this umbilical cord, mine was kinked, I couldn't breathe for a time. I had no oxygen flowing to me. So the doctors, actually a nurse, discovered this early on, thank goodness, and she took precautions to make sure that the umbilical cord didn't get even more kinked, or she lessened the effects, basically. And then the doctors worked really quickly and got me out of there via C-section, and they sent me off to Calgary just to make sure I was all right. My mom and dad didn't get to see me for about 5 days after I was born, because my mom couldn't travel because she had such a quick and unplanned cesarean. She just couldn't travel, and of course my dad stayed by her side. So once they came and got me and I was all cleared to go home, I was pretty much a typical pink, like, healthy, plump baby, right? Like, there was really nothing physically different about me than any other baby. I was just cute, I was happy, healthy, all that stuff. And it wasn't until I hit around the 18-month mark that my mom and my dad, probably my parents, they started just seeing that I wasn't quite meeting milestones that maybe I should be by the age I was. I wasn't really communicating, I wasn't walking, and just things like that. I just wasn't hitting certain milestones. So they took me to the doctor and they sent me to Calgary once again, to the Children's Hospital, I believe. And the doctors there were actually surprised that it took so long for my parents to notice that there was something a little bit off about me. They thought, because of the trauma at birth, they thought these signs would be apparent much earlier. And so it didn't surprise them that they brought me, but I guess I impressed them by not being as bad as they thought I would be. I don't know if that's the proper way to say it, but anyway, they weren't surprised to see me. So they did, I don't know what they did testing, I guess. And so that began my long uphill battle with, getting poked and prodded and tested for all sorts of things. They found that my fine motor control center in my brain was damaged, and so it caused me to have really bad fine motor control issues. That means things like writing, I can't do very well. I have a little bit of a shake, which is made worse by nerves. Like, when I'm nervous, I'm really shaky, but naturally I do have a shake. I'm unable to carry coffee or water or anything liquid, soup. I have a balance issue, so I really I fall really easy. My center of gravity gets disrupted a lot easier than other people's. Me and ice do not play nice together. Because of that, I wasn't really good at sports growing up, although I really loved skiing, downhill skiing, and I really was okay at that, which surprises me like crazy, but that's one thing I could do. But so that I have that going for me, yay. And then on top of that, I had speech therapies because my speech center was damaged too. So I have a speech impairment, and when I was little, actually, they suggested me learning sign language because they weren't sure how how much I could improve my speech. They weren't sure if I would be understandable at all. So I got taught sign language at a very young age. As I grew up, I, of course, took swimming, and that was challenging for me, but I kept doing it. I went to public school like everyone else. I don't remember having an aide, per se, in school past kindergarten. I know in kindergarten I had an aide. She helped me learn sign language and stuff, and I do remember having an aide in kindergarten, but after that, I do not believe I had an aide. I went out of the classroom for speech therapy and things like that. I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was little, so I had absent seizures, they're called. So I would just be talking and whatever, and then I'd stare off into space, and all of a sudden not be able to hear anyone around me, and then I'd come back, and it was like I didn't even know that I was gone for a couple minutes, and so I had to take medication for that. So I don't know how to explain this, but I had to have foot supports in my shoes, because my knee and my feet, like my whole alignment was off, and I didn't walk properly. I kind of shuffled my feet a lot and dragged my toes, so they put me in shoe supports, and I wore them for quite a long time. I think most of my elementary years I was in shoe supports. In about grade 5, I fell, and that's when I endured my first spondylo injury, which is a back injury. And that's when I was told that I had scoliosis, and I didn't know that. I believe my mom and dad knew that beforehand, but it wasn't really a big deal before I got the spondylo injury. Sorry, itchy nose. But so we went to the hospital, Children's Hospital, and they decided I had to wear a back brace because I had scoliosis, and now I had the spondylo injury. They just thought, why not? This way we'll cover the bases and make sure it gets healed, and make sure that it doesn't make your scoliosis any worse. So I wore a back brace under my shirt for 5 to 6 years. I always forget exactly when I got the okay to not wear this brace anymore, but it was 5 to 6 years, and I had to wear this brace 23 out of 24 hours of the day. So I could take it off to shower, and then I had to put it back on, pretty much. At that same time, we discovered a leg length discrepancy. So that means one of my legs was longer than the other. And my hips are really off center anyway. One goes up and one goes down, so it probably played a role in my leg length discrepancy. I'm not, to be honest, for a person who has gone through so much, I know surprisingly little about the details of my inflections, and it's quite entertaining to me that I always constantly have to ask my mom or the doctor about what exactly is going on with me. But anyway, so I had to wear a boost in my shoe, and it started off at, I believe, an inch. It was a pretty big boost. So how I combated this is I'd have to wear either a shoe that had enough room in it that I could slip the boost into it and my foot could fit in it still, or I'd have to buy flat soled shoes and then get the boost actually glued onto the bottom of the shoe. And this was a thing until I got married. Actually, my wedding shoes have a boost on them. So that lasted a long time. So because of all this, you guys, I always had a really good base of friends. I always had a group. There were about 6 or 8 of us that always hung out. They always supported me. They were awesome. I'm still friends with them today. They're like my cheer section. They've always been awesome to me, and I really attribute them to me being able to stay somewhat sane through my school years. But even having them, I was teased. I was looked on as being lesser than everyone else. People didn't have very many expectations for me in school. I spent the whole of my school years trying to constantly impress people and show people that I could do everything that anyone else could do. I was very, very stubborn and still am, and I'd often take the harder route, even though there was an easier route out there. I had to show people and myself that I could do things the hard way, like the way everyone else did them. At a very early age, the school started providing me with computer support because of my writing and stuff. So I always kind of had access to a computer, and this is the 90s, remember? So in like junior high, I started getting a laptop, which was a big deal back then. Not many people had laptops. No one had laptops they took to school. And so whenever I pulled out my laptop in class to type, I felt really awkward. I felt really odd. I felt like everyone was staring at me. I don't actually know if they were, but that's how I felt. And so I would try my hardest to not use the laptop. And if I felt like I was able to write that day nicely, I would, and I wouldn't pull out the laptop very often. I was very lucky. I always had friends too who were more than willing to photocopy their notes for me so that I didn't have to worry about rushing around and getting them written off the board. My friends would write assignments as I dictated to them for me. My friends were awesome and patient and really accommodating to that. But I really grew up with a love-hate relationship with technology for that reason, because I always had it pushed on me for good reason. The schools and my parents and family were really wanting to help me, but at the same time, it made me feel different. And when you're a teenager, you really don't want to feel different. That's quite literally the opposite of what what you want to feel. So that's just a little bit about my childhood with disabilities. I eventually, obviously, gained enough clarity in my pronunciation of things that I no longer use sign language. So that's a plus. I did take quite extensive speech therapy until grade 8-ish. My voice has always been something that I've really struggled with. Up until recently, I couldn't even play back my videos or listen to my outgoing message on my answering machine because my voice was always kind of the last thing about myself that I was able to come to terms with. So after all that turmoil of figuring out all my stuff and going through all that stuff when I was young, I decided to go to college. And this was a very difficult decision for me because I was scared, guys. I won't sugarcoat it. I had spent my whole life passionately trying to prove to people that I could be a person like everyone else, that I could accomplish everything that anyone else could accomplish. But when I turned 18, all that support from school and all that sort of hand-holding left. Like, my friends, although we stayed in touch and hung out all the time, they left and did their own lives. I was now an adult. I didn't have school to provide a cushion and supports for me. And I was expected to go into the world and be a person for the first time on my own. And it was very scary. I had known the exact same people. I grew up in a very small town. And so I knew the exact same people from the time I was little till the time I was 18. And so I actually wasn't even sure if I had the ability to make friends, because I had the same exact friends my whole life. And so I had never had to make friends or make new relationships. And so it was a very, very scary decision whether or not to go to college, but I was accepted. And I've always had goals for myself, and I always had a goal of becoming something and being independent and being forging my own way. And so I decided that if I didn't go now, I wouldn't go. So that's what kind of pushed me to move. I moved to a city and I went to college, and that's when my whole life just kind of changed, drastically for the better. I moved to the city when I was 19. By the time I was 25, I had graduated college with close to a 4.0 GPA. I had made incredible friendships. I had gotten married. I had 2 children. I had bought in a house. I had vehicles. I had a career. And I was writing my first book. And it all happened in a span of 7 years. Or 6 years. And it all happened because I was brave enough to do something scary and to push myself and to just kind of leave comfort behind and go and explore. And so as time went on, I realized that that is very hard for people to do. It was very hard for me to do, and it's very hard for a lot of other people to do, especially if you have disabilities to contend with, be them mental disabilities like depression or anxiety or physical disabilities. It just adds a another layer of complication onto another pretty complicated existence that us as human beings live, right? Like, we're expected to do certain things and go out and be independent, and that's scary enough. And then you add a disability onto it, and it's very hard. And I was very lucky in that I always had this incredible support system behind me. I was never alone, and even when I did feel alone, at the end of the day, I always had someone there to kind of bring my mood up and to kind of cheer me on. But not everybody has that. And so this is why I created Making Lemonade. I originally created it because I saw people in my own community struggle and feel alone and feel lost. And I really empathize with that feeling because I remember feeling it, and I still do feel it every so often. And it makes me sad that some people do not have an outlet or a person that they can just cry to and a shoulder to cry on, right? And so I created Making Lemonade firstly to be that shoulder for people who are struggling in life and just need a laugh or just need someone to talk to or someone to motivate them. The second reason why I originally made Making Lemonade is because I wanted to get over my disdain for my voice. It was kind of the only thing that I hadn't accepted, like I said, and I thought, you know what, I have to challenge myself and I have to just make myself do it. So that's the other reason why I did Making Lemonade, is to challenge myself and to sort of, in a way, get inspiration from other people for myself and kind of lift myself up away from that disdain feeling. And so that's just a little bit about me, you guys. I hope this channel, I'll be able to post videos of me doing everyday things and how I have found a way to kind of tweak the processes of everyday tasks so that I can do them, because I am a mom, I do have a career, and I am a grown-up, so I have to be able to do things that are uncomfortable or that are difficult for me to do. So I'm hoping to post videos demonstrating that. I hope to give you guys inspiration. If there's anything at all that you ever want to know about me or a video idea that you have for me, just let me know in the comments. As I said, I'm very new to YouTube, but I will try my best to keep up with your comments. And yes, if you haven't checked me out yet on Facebook, go check out Making Lemonade on Facebook. And if you liked this video and you're curious about how I live my life with disabilities, just subscribe and click that like button down below, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and just keep on squeezing those lemons, guys.